Welcome to the Iowa VISTA monthly meeting for March of 2017. Today's topic is crafting a compelling service opportunity listing. As you know, I'm Jancy from the CNCS Iowa State office, and I'll be your presenter slash facilitator for today's call. The PowerPoint that we're going to be seeing today will be available after the session, and the session is being recorded. If you object, you can disconnect now. Our Iowa VISTA monthly meetings are designed to highlight a topic and provide a forum for discussion. They are not intended to be an all-encompassing presentation, so please make sure that you review additional resources that are provided on the topics that we discuss, which may be tutorials or instructions or other documents. Before we begin, just a few housekeeping items. All the lines are currently open, so please place us on mute so we do not hear background noise or typing. If you joined us via your phone and you do not have a mute button, *6 should mute and unmute your line. If you joined us via your computer, there is a blue radial button at the bottom of your screen. It looks like a microphone, and that will mute your computer if you click it once. If you click it again, it will unmute it. Please do not place us on hold during the call. We will likely hear hold music, and while it is gorgeous, it is distracting to talk over. We will have time at the end for questions. However, this session today will be interactive, so I'm going to ask a few questions for the group. We do have the conversation box or the chat box to provide questions as we go throughout and to respond to some of the questions that I'll be posing to the group today. So we just wanted to make sure that folks are aware of the functionalities of the system. Our agenda for today is really just to articulate the importance of the service opportunity listings as part of your recruitment plan. Describe what makes an engaging service opportunity listing and looking at some of a catchy two-liner. So we're going to talk about those a little bit today. And we're also going to talk about the relationship between the VAD and the service opportunity listing. And of course, share resources as we move through this. I'm a big believer and you don't have to know where everything is. You have to know where to find everything. So as you guys know, recruitment season is kicking off. We are ramping up for VISTA recruitment. The screen that you see before you should show our VISTA recruitment resources that we have available. The VISTA campus is a great resource for that. And all the recruitment resources, there's a link there that kind of links out to everything, which could include kind of the stages of recruitment and marketing resources, those types of stuff. The recruitment planning resources really talk about the VISTA recruitment checklists and then basically creating your recruitment plan. And then the on-demand tutorials are tutorials that are great for there's one actually out there, crafting a compelling service opportunity, which is where I stole some of today's presentations from. Writing fabulous VADs, supervisory circle, focus on recruitment, elements of a recruitment plan. So there's lots of on-demand tutorials out there as well. So I just want to make sure that folks, I like to start with resources and end with resources because I want to make sure that folks know where things can be found. Everyone should know which PSO you are recruiting for at this time. If you don't, please contact your program officer. Those notices were sent out on February 6th to my long-standing projects. I know, Dawn, you're new to us, so welcome. But everyone should have a good idea of who they're recruiting for, or what event they're recruiting for, I'm sorry. July PSO, the July PSO Classic event, is our largest event that the vast majority of our programs recruit for, with the nomination deadline of June 12th. So June is fast approaching, and we want to make sure that folks are well positioned to get their opportunities out there. We had asked our projects to have service opportunities out in the system by March 1st, and you can post your service opportunity listings prior to your continuation application being approved. For those of you who are working on your continuation applications now, which is actually quite a few of you, those are due at the end of March. I just wanted to make sure that you knew that your service opportunity listings can go out prior to that application being approved, because your current grant will, those opportunities will roll forward with your current grant. If you do have any questions, again, please let your designated program officer know. If you have already posted a service opportunity listing out there, you can edit it at any time. So if you go through today's session, there's going to be a few things that we want you to look at in your service opportunity postings. You can most certainly make edits to those at any time. Just make sure that the Corporation State Office is aware of the changes that you have made. So any changes that you made, that means we do need to reapprove those service opportunity postings. And so just let us know. We actually do not get an alert if you guys resubmit something, so we have to go into the system and just see if it's sitting there. So please help us out in that. We would greatly appreciate it. So before we kind of dive into things, I'm going to pose a question to the group and just get some feedback. And you can answer this question in the chat functionality, or you can unmute your line and we can discuss as well. But why are service opportunity listings important? So question for the group. I'm going to pause for a second. Again, you can type an answer into the conversation box or the chat function, or unmute your line. But why are the VISTA service opportunity listings important? I will open the lines now. Nicole says in the chat, to attract qualified applicants. Very good. Anyone else? Why are these important? To stand out from the competition. Very good, Dawn. Anyone else? So service opportunity listings are important. These are a strategic part of your recruitment plan. These set the criteria for the person that you're looking for the position that is open. They obviously can help attract qualified applicants, or they should be. We do want you to stand out from everyone else. So we'll show you kind of what the VISTA members see, or a potential applicant sees, when they do a search for opportunities. So you do want to be able to stand out. They also can set a first impression of your organization. Sometimes if an organization has heard about, or a person has heard about you, or if they're just doing a random search, this service opportunity really does kind of set that first impression for you. So just keep that in mind as you're writing these and working in the system about these. We do want to make sure that folks are aware that these are an important aspect of your recruitment plan. We do want you to remember, and we want to stress, that VISTA supervisors should stress the importance of creating a detailed and clear position description that can be used for a screening tool before and during the interview. So in speaking with a lot of our VISTA supervisors and their interviewing processes, they do really use the position descriptions and the service opportunities as a screening tool for folks. And so if you set up the service opportunity appropriately, hopefully you can also screen out a few people. The more detailed and clear you are about what you want the members to do, the better you can set the criteria for the knowledge, skills, and abilities the candidate should have. And that should also reflect in your service opportunity listing. So we want to make sure that folks are aware that while it is required to have a service opportunity listing out there, and to have that's the official way for our potential VISTA members to apply, is they have to go through our system and through the service opportunity listings. These are an important aspect of your recruitment plan, and we do not want these to be overlooked. So wanted to spend a little bit of time on that today as folks kind of look at their recruitment plans for the upcoming year. So where to list your position? Obviously, we want it out on the myamericorps.gov website. This is what you see here. In this is all the screen, or the welcome screen, that folks see when they go to the nationalservice.gov and say they want to join AmeriCorps. This is the screen they see. So it's kind of a screenshot for you there. You can see at the bottom it has AmeriCorps, it has VISTA, and it has NCCC. This is also their My AmeriCorps account. So if you have a current VISTA member, up here is their login screen, and this is where they would go back to. So we want to make sure that folks are aware of this screen. For you, for the program directors, for my VISTA leaders on the call, this listing that you see is actually in the eGrants portal. So our systems are set up uniquely in that the eGrants portal is your side of the system, and the My AmeriCorps account that the members or the potential candidates see is a different kind of side of that. It's all interconnected, but when you talk about you need to go into the eGrants portal and do that, the members and the potential candidates are not going to know what you're speaking of. So we just want to make sure that folks are aware that their My AmeriCorps account is the where these service opportunities are going to be. If you haven't, I encourage you to do a view of the public side of our system. So go into the myamericorps.gov and do just a search. You can actually search for opportunities. You don't have to sign in. We do encourage you to look at that just so you have an idea of what your potential candidates and what your members work with. Excuse me. So we do want to make sure that folks are aware of that. My next question for the group as we kind of look, this is really a thought-provoking, and I'm trying to make it interactive, but webinars are really hard to make interactive. So just another question for the group. What makes a service opportunity listing or even a position listing? So even if you're looking for a new job or if you're looking for a potential AmeriCorps program, what makes those stand out? So that can either be in the My AmeriCorps account or on another site like Idealist or Indeed. What makes job positions or service opportunity listings, what makes those stand out from the crowd? So again, you can either put your answers in the conversation box, or you can unmute your line. But really what I'm asking for you guys to think about is what makes opportunity listings stand out. So Geo says the title, followed by a sentence or two describing the work. So we want to make sure that kind of catching people's attention. So titles normally are what folks look at, as well as kind of that brief blurb, as I like to call it. So that's great. Thanks, Gio. There's a few other people typing. Dawn talks about location, where the position is located at. So sometimes that's what makes positions stand out. Adam says illustrating the impact of the position that the position will have on the community. These are all great. These are all great ways to make a position stand out. Danya says fun and exciting wording. A site has stated a VISTA is needed, so we want to make sure that we're attracting folks with our language that we use. Was there someone on the phone that wanted to chime in as well? All right. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anyone. So thanks, guys. These are great. This is really, we do want to make our opportunities stand out. And so I want you, as you think about the service opportunity listings, that again are a required aspect of your recruitment plan, you want to make sure that you're also putting some time and thought into them and how to make them stand out. A few other places that you can post your position. So obviously it has to be posted up on the myamericorps.gov website and through the eGrants portal. But a few other places that you might want to think of include Idealist, Indeed, Monster, Craigslist. Actually, we've had a few people who have had good success with Craigslist postings. I know, it's crazy. Facebook, LinkedIn. I don't have that one up there, but LinkedIn is also a good place nowadays to find folks. We do want you to remember that word of mouth is still the #1 recruiter out there. So make sure you're sharing with your networks, your staff, your board of directors, making sure that folks are aware of where that your positions are available. And so we do want to make sure that folks are aware of that. If you do use an outside listing for your position, please make sure that that information is the same as your service opportunity listing on the AmeriCorps website. Those can be confusing if you see one out there that says one thing and then one that says something else, so that can throw people off. Danya has a question. Have you used Craigslist for free? I'll be honest, I have not used Craigslist, but I know that other programs have used that. I'm not sure how the fee structure works on that one, Danya. If anyone else has used Craigslist on the phone, if you have been able to use that for free, if you could let Danya know in the chat, that would be great. Does anyone have any other sites that they have posted on? So this is a sharing opportunity. Obviously, we all want to get great folks in, but are there other sites that folks have had great success with that you wanted to point out to our other colleagues on the phone today. So if you do have another site that you've used or another means to post that information, if you could share that in the chat functionality, that would be great. These are some of the top ones kind of nationally and that I've talked about with folks in the state of Iowa, but we just wanted to make sure. So Geo has a question. When we post on the sites like Indeed and sites similar to that, are we supposed to include VISTA in the title posting? Yes, I would definitely include that, letting them know that it is an AmeriCorps VISTA position. So an AmeriCorps VISTA / community, organizer, or AmeriCorps VISTA, / volunteer recruiter. So those we don't most certainly want to make sure that folks are aware that this is an AmeriCorps VISTA position. Nicole said some other sites that she uses include college job boards. So those are another great resource for folks out there as well. So Gio, hopefully that answers your question. Thanks, Nicole, for sharing. A few more folks are typing, so I'm going to wait to see what they have to say. As we move into kind of the key components. So we're going to break down the service opportunity listing a little bit, and we're going to talk about some of the key components to the service opportunity listing. So we want to make sure that folks are aware of what this is, how it works, what folks see, and really how you guys can break it down a little bit and make it work for you. So key components of a service opportunity listing are, you do want to talk about the who, the where, the what, the why, and then obviously the nitty gritty, the start and the end dates, contact information, living allowance amounts, terms, conditions, and benefits of service. So those are some of the things that we really want to make sure that are reflected in our service opportunity postings. The components of the listing include that title. So there's always a title out there. That title that you use on the service opportunity listing can actually help you figure out which position a candidate is applying for. If we have multiple volunteer recruiters out there, like Iowa Campus Compact, they have multiple sites, and so they actually break it down by the year that they're recruiting for, the title of the position, but also where that position is. So if it's, at Grandview University, they put that out there. So they try to break that title out. So when they look at it in the system, they can use that opportunity for them. But also when someone sees it out searching in the portal or the My AmeriCorps account, they can say, oh, I can recognize where that is. So the title is a very important part of the service opportunity listing. The two-line summary, so that two-liner that we talk about, we're going to break it down a little bit more. That's a 200-character two-liner. And so when you do a search, that's what's going to pull up and kind of catch people's attention. We'll break that down a little bit farther here in just a second. We also are going to break down member duties. The member duties are about 1,000 characters that you can put in there. Again, not tons and tons of information, but obviously you want it to be attention grabbing. You want folks to understand what the position really does entail. The program description. So the program description is really to describe your program and to describe kind of your organization a little bit. That's a 2,000 character position or character field. And then, of course, the program benefits, the terms of service, obviously focus areas and skill sets and things like that. So we do want to make sure that folks are aware of those things. Are kind of, most of those are from drop-down menus. You're not really typing those in, but you're putting those in drop-down menus. A few things to think about for your service opportunity listing. One question always comes up is when we're recruiting, the service opportunity listing does have to remain open until the position is actually filled. And so a lot of folks have they want to apply by a certain date, but they leave it open just to make sure that folks can actually accept the offer to serve kind of after that date. So one of the things that we found is put a date in there that you want them to apply by. So if you have it open from now until June 12th, but you want them actually to apply by June 1st, you put in there, folks actually deal better with a deadline. So making sure that you say, this position is open until filled, but to be fully considered, please apply by June 1st. That does help kind of set that criteria for when you're going to start looking at those candidates. So keep that in mind. The other thing to think about is actually the living allowance rate. So in the drop-down menu, they know that they'll get a living allowance, but to actually say that what the amount is, that $11,880 right now, definitely think about that. The education award, or the end of service cash stipend, including the amounts of those as well. So that's something that might draw folks' attention. If they know that the education award is $5,815, that might actually spark an interest more than you get an education award and they're not really sure what that is. So again, you're on limited characters here, so there's only so much you can do, but just some things to think about. Some other things that they talk about might include like leave allowances or extras, like if you guys do a training or a certification process for your members, if you do housing, if there are meal plans or transportation assistance provided. Again, I know some of those you can get those in the drop-down menus, but if you explain what those are a little bit, those might help engage some candidates as well. So I just wanted to make sure that folks are aware of that. Danya, I see put in here for the Indeed posting, I've also add the stipend amount, so I won't get a lot of applicants who want more money. Yes, Danya, that is absolutely correct. I always chuckle when we talk about VISTA members who want to negotiate the salary. They're like, I'm really interested, but I really want to negotiate the salary. And so sometimes I think folks are a little confused about what the AmeriCorps VISTA program is. And so I think that definitely is a good thing to put in there, especially if you're outside of the system, like you said, in the Indeed postings, those most certainly are needed in there. So my next question, so we're really going to we're going to break this down into the service opportunity listings and kind of the components, but next we're going to look at how to make these, how to tweak these service opportunities to maybe get more traffic. So as you think about the benefits of volunteering, so what are the benefits of VISTA? What are the benefits of volunteering? I want you to think about a time that you volunteered or a time that you took a position. What brought you to that position? Why were you interested in that position? Was it your personal values? Was it the community concern? Was it something that you were going to be addressing in the community? Was it a gain of understanding or personal development, or to be an esteem enhancement, so to actually kind of boost your esteem for those things. So I want you guys to think about that. Think about a time you volunteered and why you volunteered and what brought you to that position. So just think about it for a second. And as you think about that, we want you to really kind of put that into context as you build out your service opportunity postings. We want you to think about what attracts you to positions, what attracts your staff to positions, and make sure that you're including kind of those types of concepts as you build out the service opportunity posting. So keep that in mind. Kind of as we move through the next kind of phase of this, is we're really going to try to tease out some of the information. So excuse me for coughing into the microphone, I apologize. What you see now is when I talked about the candidates doing a search. So if they go on to the My AmeriCorps account or My AmeriCorps system and they do a search, this is what pulls up this screen. As you can see, there's 20 results, 20 pages. They're in alphabetical order, and as you can see, the little asterisk, the star right here, talks about, that's just saying that you're accepting applications now. That's all that means. This is the actual title that you guys put in. So this is what they'll see when you put in that title. And then this is the two-liner. The two-liner that folks will read, and basically the first indication they have if they want to apply to your position or not. Obviously program type, because our system is used for more than just the AmeriCorps VISTA program. It's used for AmeriCorps State as well as in CCC. And so if they're looking specifically for a VISTA program, it'll talk about the type. The start date, so when those members will need to start. We always ask you to include the PSO dates. That's actually best because they are required to go to those. So though they don't actually report to your site until later, including the PSO, the classic PSO dates, really do help a potential candidate gauge if they would be available or not. And then the location, typically that is by state, so they have an idea where that position is. So we just wanted to make sure that folks were kind of aware of what a potential candidate sees when they're coming into the system. Now, they can do specific searches. Each one of these postings actually has a posting ID number and a specific title. So if you're ever sending information out, you most certainly can tell them, search for this in the system, and that'll take us directly to us. So I just wanted to make sure that folks kind of understood what your potential candidates will see in the system, or what anyone doing a regular search would see with these two-liners. So we are going to kind of look at the two-liners. So here's an example. This is just, we're going to do kind of an opportunity listing makeover. So this is what we have here. So the title is Communications and Fundraising VISTA at Women's Place. And then the two-liner, so as I said earlier, the character count is you have 200 characters for that two-liner, the two-line description. And in this case, the two-liner is, the VISTA will work on raising funds from multiple channels, including individual donors, grants, and events, and will also get the word out via email blasts, newsletters, and social media. Thumbs up, thumbs down, what's you guys' reaction to this? If you saw this, please include that in the chat. If you guys saw this, what would you think? Would you say, oh yeah, this is great? Would you be like, yeah, okay. Thumbs up, thumbs down. I'm sure there's some smiley faces or frowny faces out there. What do you guys think? Thumbs down from Adam. Gio's yawning. Yep. Thumbs down from Dawn. It's okay. So it's kind of in between, but yes, yawning. So yeah, kind of a boring, it meets the criteria, right? You have an idea of what it is, but it's nothing that's really popping. It would be better to talk about the impact. Absolutely, absolutely. So these are things we want you guys to think about. So we're going to take this same listing and we're going to do a little makeover for it. So the actual title, they're not working at Women's Place. They were actually working for the Ready Partners program under Women's Place. So sometimes that can help bring folks in. So if it's versus, you have it out there, it's a volunteer recruiter with the Iowa Campus Compact program, but they're actually working at Grandview, but you don't have Grandview out there as I used in my earlier example. We want to make sure that folks understand who they're going to be working with, because you have 2,000 characters to describe your organization. This is the title, so what kind of makes the most sense? And in this particular one, they actually, their first thing is help children succeed. Like, what are you going to be doing? You're going to help children succeed. As our VISTA, you will raise funds from multiple channels to tell the story of in our public materials. It's a great opportunity for a budding fundraiser. And so instead of saying, you're going to be working with grants and donations and events, and you're going to be, getting the word out, that kind of brings it into more eye appealing. So what do we think about that one? Do we think that works better for folks? So what about this one? Again, this is going to 195 characters. So we're pushing the character limit, and basically we're doing the same thing, except we're adding on, it's a budding fundraiser, but it's to serve in after school and mentoring programs. And so they know who they're working with the project. So is this better than we saw before? Again, responses to this, thumbs up, thumbs down. This is what we want you guys to think about when you do the two-liners. Really, as I showed on that previous screen, that's really what they see. When they do a search, they see the title and they see those two lines. And I think there's studies out there that shows you have, a 10 seconds to catch attention. And so we want folks to be able to kind of draw attention to that. I think Oak Ridge neighborhood, Danya, you might be able to help me on this one, but Oak Ridge neighborhood has their service opportunity posting out there this fall was travel the world and never leave Des Moines. Because they actually work in housing, and they have multiple languages spoke there, things like that. And so that really, I thought that was a catchy little two-liner, that, it talks about who they're going to be working with, their clientele. So those are some, you can go out and look and see what folks have out there, but we just wanted to make sure that you were aware of this. Still, it's within the character limitations. We're still at 195. Yes, we're pushing the character limitations. But we just want to make sure that folks are aware of that you can take those two-liners and kind of break them down a little bit, and make those kind of work better for you. Any questions about this? About how to do this? So Danya said she didn't remember what Leslie wrote. Leslie Olson is the project director at Oak Ridge. Danya used to serve at Oak Ridge, just for folks on the line. But it does. She said it does sound like her. And Danya says, yes, I would have ran to that opening. So we just want to make sure that folks are using the service opportunity listing to their advantage, and thinking about really how do we talk about the impact? What are they going to be working on? Well, the first one, is kind of plain Jane. You want to rethink what would draw folks in, because again, you have just a limited time sometimes for people who are looking at. I mean, I look at this. If you've ever looked for a job and you're scrolling through Indeed, you scroll very quickly, and so unless something catches your eye, you want something to make them pause, and connect with someone who's actually looking for that type of position. So think about that as we move forward. But any questions about the two-liners and kind of what we've talked about today? All right. So I wanted to spend a little time talking about the VAD and how that relates to the service opportunity listing. So for each of you've written a grant. There's the VISTA grant. It's the application for federal assistance. In this grant, you actually have to tell us what your members are going to be doing at each of your services, or at your service sites. So you have goals and objectives, outputs and outcomes for each of your service sites. And then you have a capacity building goal, whether that is to develop resources or to expand efficiency and effectiveness. And then from there, you also list out service opportunity or service activities. And so your VAD then builds off of that. So the VISTA assignment description breaks that down into the goals and objectives. It breaks out service opportunities, or not service opportunities, I'm sorry, service activities, and breaks it down into further detail, and then it breaks it down by dates of which the members will accomplish those goals. And so all of these things are interconnected is the point I'm getting to. Nothing should really be operating by itself in a silo. These should all be interconnected. And so your VAD actually, if you have written a VAD or you look at your VAD, your volunteer assignment description, which all of you should have VADs currently, the VAD actually transfers the language to the VISTA member duties of the service opportunity listing. So you shouldn't be creating this out of, thin air. This should all be interconnected. So you should utilize your VAD to help you write your service opportunity listing. All aspects of your grant should be built upon, and that is what you use to build your VAD. And in turn, you use your VAD to build your service opportunity listing. So again, no one thing exists by itself. They should all be interconnected and make sense in their flow. So think about that. You don't want to, though we want to be catchy, we don't want to lie about what the members are actually doing. So make sure that you are connecting those. So we're going to go through another example here, and this time we're gonna switch. We're not going to be with the mentoring program anymore, but the new example is with New Connections. So New Connections is an employment program for ex-offenders. So think about that, an employment program for ex-offenders. The priority focus area is economic opportunity. They're going to be building capacity through leveraging resources, and their service activities include expanding partnerships and network, financial resources development, and volunteer recruitment. So you got that in your head? New connections, employment program for ex-offenders, priority focus areas, economic opportunity, building capacity through leveraging resources. Activities are going to include expanding partnerships and networks, financial resource development, and volunteer recruitment. Okay, so now we're going to look at the service opportunity, and we're going to look at the member duty section. And so when we look at the members duty section, the character limitation is 1,000 characters. So you have 1,000 characters to describe what these members are going to be doing. And so here's an example of what our headquarters has given as a piece of the members duty section. So as a VISTA member with New Connections, you will help end poverty by creating a program that links low-income ex-offenders with employment. Pretty simple first. I mean, that's really what they're going to be doing. Every thing that we do ties back to poverty. So I'm very excited that they highlighted that. And then linking, ex-offenders, low-income ex-offenders with employment opportunities is the main basis for the members' duties. From there, they talk about the major functions will include cultivating a network of employers willing to hire ex-offenders by conducting in-person and online outreach, pursuing donations for a computer lab by developing a funding plan and securing donors, and designing a volunteer recruitment plan and recruiting and training volunteers. VISTA serve their communities through indirect service. So they put that in there as they are not going to be working one-on-one with those ex-offenders, but they're going to be doing it through indirect services. So this is in the members duty section of the service opportunity listing. This is the place where you're going to tell them kind of what they should be expecting. So the members duties section could read something like this. This particular one has 503 characters. The limit again is 1,000, so about 503 characters. We're halfway there. And so from this members duties section, or this description, what do you think would be some knowledge, skills, or abilities that might be needed that we could list out that the members might need, or the potential candidate might need? So again, typing in our little conversation box, trying to make it interactive, folks. Give me some knowledge, skills, or abilities based on these duties that you feel our potential candidate might need. I'll give you guys a few seconds to do that. Did I lose everyone? Oh, looks like some folks are typing. Okay. So again, this section, you guys can make it work for yourself, but this is just an idea of what this could look like. Nicole talks about communication skills. Absolutely, Nicole. Communication skills would be needed for a potential candidate to have. Strong communication skills, prior volunteer experience / recruitment. Great, Dawn. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Anybody else? An open mind to think outside the box for donations. Thank you, Danya. Absolutely. If you guys have any particular software systems that you use, organizational skills, Dawn types in. Yep. If you use Microsoft Office, or if you use Google Docs, stuff like that, make sure you're listing that out. I mean, this is and people are like, oh, it's a VISTA position. But yes, this is someone who you're going to be working with for 12 months that you really are looking for a particular set of knowledge, skills, and abilities in order to meet the criteria. So we do want to set that out. Now, if there's things that are required and there are things that are recommended, most certainly include that. We're definitely looking for someone with, you know, strong communication skills, but experience with fundraising, we can train you on that. So those types of things. Adam talks about experience working with offenders. That's a great question. And that might be something that you can put in here is if they don't need experience working with offenders, you can say no previous experience needed with working with our clientele, but we need you to have, great communication skills, public speaking skills, those types of things, an open mind. So those are definitely things to look at. And you set that criteria, keep that in mind. You guys are setting the type of candidate that you're looking for. Your sites are setting that. And so we want to be specific, if we can be, on what we're looking for. So here is an additional aspect of that of the member services or the members duty section. So if we add in, applicant should have a 4-year degree in behavioral science or similar type of degree, or 4 years of relevant work experience or a combination thereof. So we're setting kind of the baseline of what their knowledge needs to be. The applicant should be independent, possesses strong, you might be able to read in my position, possesses strong writing skills and enjoys public speaking. So those are some of the skills that we want them to have. The applicant should have experience in Microsoft Office Suite, project planning, and volunteer recruitment. So we want them to have experience with these things, but we think they should be, possessive of these things. Sorry, I'm not doing my little thing there. So just keep that in mind. So these are, again, some things to break it down of the member duties are going to include these things, but this is what we're looking for. Now, again, if you look at those service opportunity postings, you're going to see that it asks for what's the education level that you're looking for. Oh, we're looking for some college, or we're looking for someone with a bachelor's degree. That's great. But if you're looking for someone specifically with a particular type of degree, throw that in there, or someone who has a similar experience in these types of things, throw that in there. I mean, these are ways to kind of beef up these service opportunity postings to make them work for you. You do want to review your service opportunity postings and be intentional about the knowledge, skills, and abilities you're looking for in the candidate. So though sometimes our programs want to keep it general because you're like, oh, we can train them on that if they're not familiar with it, or we can adjust that if we need to. Still, we want you to set kind of the standard that you're looking for. So don't leave it so broad that someone who has these knowledge, skills, and abilities might be like, oh, maybe they're not looking for someone with my background, or maybe my background is better needed somewhere else. Because remember, you're competing with other people, especially if you get national recruits. They're looking at multiple programs, and so you want to make sure that your program is standing out. So with this addition, so if we go to if we go back a slide, so the member duty section, that was a total of 503 characters, because I'm always concerned about characters, right? Because there's nothing more annoying than when you get in there, you start typing stuff, and then it tells you that you can't approve it. And then we add in the KSAs. Our total characters comes to 847. So we are under the 1,000 character count. To include those, again, I think that's a good member duty section for our service opportunity posting. And I think it paints a clear picture of what the program is needed, or what the program is looking for. Do you guys have any recommendations, suggestions for improvements on that? Or do you guys think that there could be another way to do that? Let us know. And you can most certainly type those in there. But let me know if there's something that you guys would improve upon. So in the last 15 minutes, I just checked my time. In the last 15 minutes, we're going to just kind of go over a few tips and some resources and some next steps for you guys to think about. So we want you guys to really be intentional intentional about the service opportunity postings. I know there's a few of them that are already have been approved. There's a few that are pending my approval still in my work baskets, and there's some of you who might still be working on them and need to get those out there. So everybody's at a little different stage, but a few tips to think about. If you use external opportunity postings, those should include the same details as your My AmeriCorps listing. So make sure that you, if you do the external postings, make sure they're including the same details. We do encourage you to keep track of where your best applicants found out about your listing. So you can build that on that recruitment plan. So keep that in mind for tracking purposes and asking that question where they found out about your listing. It really will help you in the long run to see where some of those good applicants are coming from. We do encourage you, once the position is filled, take it down from the external listings and also uncheck the accepting applications in your eGrants portal posting. So in the service opportunity posting in the eGrants portal, if you've already filled the position and the date has passed, make sure you just uncheck the accepting it says accepting applications until date. Say I'm no longer accepting applications, and change the date to have already passed, and then that'll automatically take it down from the system. So we just want to make sure that folks are aware of that. Also, in the same venue of that, if you're accepting applications until, let's say, June 1st, and on June 1st you still haven't gotten any applications in, and you're like, oh, well, the position still says approved, so I'm good. The system will actually automatically take that posting down once that date passes. So accepting applications date is pretty critical to keep those postings up and live. So be mindful of that as you're looking at your postings, that you have that, you know when that date expires. I might encourage you to put a tickler on your Outlook calendar or on the calendar that you use, just so you know when that stuff kind of passes, because you might not be in that system every day. So be mindful of that. I do encourage you, if you do get a candidate that's great, like they'd be a great fit for VISTA, but they were a runner-up for one of your positions, or you had two great candidates but you only chose one, feel free to share those with those contacts with other people. Let the candidate know, just like, hey, you weren't selected for us, but we think there's some other great opportunities that you might be good for. Feel free to share those with other programs or even our office, and we can share those out with folks, because every once in a while we do get that where we have one or two positions filled and we get 4 or 5 great candidates and we can't take them all, but we think that they would be a great fit for the program. So we do encourage cross-sharing of that information, of that potential candidate with folks, but also obviously letting the candidate know that you're sharing their information. So keep that in mind. And don't forget to look for candidates within your community. Again, word of mouth is still the #1 way to get folks to volunteer. I always chuckle when people are like, oh, how'd you hear about AmeriCorps? Oh, my sister's best friend's brother did it, and so I thought it would be cool. And so that's how they heard about our program. So word of mouth is still the #1 way to get stuff out there. So don't forget your local communities and to spread the word through there. So just a few tips as you're going through stuff and making sure that you are aware of what's out there and what folks are working on. So keep that in mind. A few next steps for you to look at. So for those of you, again, who have those service opportunity postings that are out there, we do encourage you to relook at those. So look at your 2-liner, that little 2-liner teaser, and make sure that it catches the attention. Make sure it doesn't make you yawn or and be intentional about it, but take some time to look at that. We also want you to compare your VAD to your members' duties section of your service opportunity listing. So making sure that the VAD that you've created, that you built off of your grant, and the member duties listed on that service opportunity all interconnect. So everything kind of builds off of each other, and they all make sense. So the last thing we like to see is when we get a candidate on board and they're like, oh, I thought I was recruited for this and I'm actually doing this and I don't know why. It's because there's been some breakdown of communication kind of along the way. So we want to make sure that those are clear and articulate as we move forward. We also want you to identify what makes your program unique. Think about that for a second. What makes your program unique? What stands you apart from the crowd? In the state of Iowa, we have 15 AmeriCorps VISTA programs, and there's an opportunity to place approximately 80 VISTA members in the state of Iowa. So we're looking for a few people to serve in our programs. That doesn't count the 20-something AmeriCorps state programs and the hundreds of AmeriCorps members they're looking to fill this year. That's just in the state of Iowa. And so just think about that for a second. What makes your program unique, and how can you stand out from the crowd? A best example that I have, not a best example, but a fun example that I have, I guess I could say, is I actually used to work with a program down in Keosauqua, Iowa. So that is southeastern Iowa, little small town, Keosauqua, and it was a community school district there. And they always got national recruits, meaning they got people from out of town. So Keosauqua really isn't the mecca of places to bring in folks from New Jersey and from California. And they would always get these members from out of town who were really interested in serving in Keosauqua, Iowa. And so I asked the question, I was like, how in the world do you get them here? And the VISTA program director was like, we utilize our service opportunity posting to our fullest extent. We talk about, in the limited characteristics, not only do we talk about the impact they're going to have, but we also talk about the beautiful rolling hills of southeast Iowa. We talk about, their relationship to what, finding beauty in nature. And, she's like, that really actually brings in quite a few people who want to take a breath and take a break from, the busy city life and come to a pristine area of southeast Iowa to, have beautiful, majestic views. And so I kind of chuckled, but that actually is what caught their attention. And once they realized what they were doing, they were also just as drawn into the program as well. So good, bad, or indifferent, but that's what they could think of that made their program unique. And so they utilized it. So think of that as well. Some of our rural areas are not the easiest to recruit for, and we know that. We are a heavily rural area, so we want folks to keep that in mind as they kind of build out those service opportunity postings. So just a few things for next step. Look at those two-liners, compare the VADs to your member activities, the member duties section, and then identify what makes you unique. Take the time to recruit the best person for your position. Remember, member retention starts with intentional recruitment. So keep that in mind, that your member retention, so keeping that member on board for the full 12 months, it starts with the intentional recruitment process. And so anyone who's dealt with a member issue halfway through a term of service, or someone leaving for a different, better position, can get frustrated. And so just keeping that in mind, that we do want you guys to be intentional about your recruitment processes and procedures. So any questions yet so far about what we've talked about? Okay, so upcoming trainings from VISTA headquarters. Obviously, the VISTA campus is a great resource. If you guys have not checked it out, I highly encourage you guys to do that. There's tons of resources out there. One of the things that VISTA headquarters does is regular trainings. They actually have a grand selection of on-demand or pre-recorded trainings out there for folks. I encourage you to check those out. They have them for VISTA member or for VISTA supervisors as well as for leaders, so make sure that you're paying attention to those. The VISTA Member Retention 201, Responding to Member Challenges, is coming up on May 16th, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, so that would be 1 p.m. our time, so keep that in mind that is an Eastern time zone. And then the next one is the Art and Science of AmeriCorps VISTA Recruiting, coming up in May on the 28th, again at 1 p.m. Central or 2 p.m. Eastern. Those are some headquarters trainings that they're doing kind of in real person time, so please check those out if you guys are interested. Again, the vistacampus.gov/supervisor webinars has lots of pre-recorded or on-demand webinars that I encourage you guys to look at as you move through and want to learn more. I know we all have tons of spare time, but if you're ever looking for resources, there's some great ones out there. They also a lot of times have that you can just print out the PowerPoint, which sometimes helps if you just want to skim over stuff and get some ideas. So think about that as some additional resources for you. Next month, we're going to be doing on April 17th, again, 2 p.m. Central Time. Our topic is going to be interviewing tips and tools. I have switched the April and May topic, so April will be tips and tools for interviewing, and then in May, we're going to discuss on-site orientation and training. The original plan had on-site orientation and training first, but I think just kind of how we move through things, tips and tools for interviewing should come next, and then on-site orientation. So April 17th will be our next monthly meeting at 2 p.m. If you guys do have any questions between now and then, please reach out to your designated program officer. I will say our office is only 2 people, and we are starting to ramp up in our busyness, so we're moving into what we call our busy season. And so if there is something that you have emailed us and we haven't gotten back to you in a few days, please feel free to email us again. I was out of the office actually last Thursday and Friday. I was traveling in Nebraska for work, actually was working on Saturday as well, so I haven't quite gotten through all of my email from last week, so please be patient with me on that. But if you guys haven't heard back, feel free to send us another email. We're not ignoring you. We probably it fell through the cracks somewhere, so we apologize for that. I'm apologizing in advance. Resources, again, big believer in knowing where to find stuff. So there are service opportunity listing resources. There is an on-demand or a pre-recorded training that is entitled Crafting a Compelling Service Opportunity Listing. It's through the VISTA campus. I do encourage you to check it out if you get some time. There's also creating a service opportunity listing in eGrants, just kind of a walkthrough of how to create the service opportunity listing. So if you're looking for instructions on how to do that, that is where that can be found on the campus as well. So those are some resources for you guys to be able to kind of cross-reference or go back and reference stuff as you're working through the service opportunity listings. Any questions for me before we wrap up? We have just a few minutes before we get to the top of the hour, but the last slide is just our contact information. It's normally what I leave you guys with for our campus and, of course, our website. But any questions for me? Again, your lines are open, so if you did mute us through *6 will unmute your line. And if you have joined us through your computer, if you just click that radial button again, it will unmute your headset if you have one or your computer. Any questions? All right, hearing none, I am going to conclude our session today. So this concludes our Iowa AmeriCorps VISTA monthly meeting for March. Thank you everyone for joining us. I appreciate you taking the time today. Please let me know if there's anything that you need in the future. Myself or Vicki will be happy to assist. Thank you.